Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but 7 o'clock, 7:30 came early this morning. I'm grateful to be here on the mat, wake up with you all. Thank you for joining together in community. I'm so happy to see your virtual faces this morning. Let's go ahead and start out on our backs today. So go ahead and come down into our first and beginning Shavasana. Excuse me. Bring in some water this morning if you need to. Obviously, I need a little. Excuse me. Bring in any bolsters, blocks, or straps that you'd like to offer to your practice this morning. And as we start to settle into not only the body, but this present moment. Softly roll back through the shoulders, maybe bolster behind the knees. Let the palms come facing down and take a few cleansing breaths in through the nose. Exhale from the mouth. Another nice full breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, sighing out of the mouth. Third and final resetting breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. See if you can take one more little sip of air in before you release from the mouth. Let's start to gently transition our breath in and out through the nostrils now. Settling into our Ujjayi breath as we set our intention this morning. Relaxing all the facial muscles, soften the jaw. Allowing a little space between the teeth so that the tongue can gently and softly rest behind them. As we engage the back of the throat, bringing that half smile shining out upon the face. Continue softening through the inner edges of the eyes. And let the palms come face up now. Now, as we stretch down through the fingertips, gently reaching our palms open, affirming to ourselves that we are worthy of receiving whatever it is that we ask for in our intention, or whatever it is that we set as our intention. Begin to breathe that focal point into the body, into all of the cells, so that as we move today, all of that energy goes towards manifesting whatever it is that you choose for that focal point today. Take another 3 to 4 breaths. One more full breath of intention into the body. As you exhale, gently sink back into the earth. Hands come back in front of the heart. As we take the palms here, go ahead and rub them together. Starting to create some heat and some friction. And then gently separate those hands. Elbows come into waist, palms come face up. And very gently think of something that you'd like to send out into the world right now. Something positive in the way of a prayer or a mantra. Sending out and receiving compassion, communication, oneness. One more breath. And softly come to heart and take a gentle bow as we begin our practice once again this morning. Hands come back down alongside of the body, and let's go ahead and bring the soles of the feet onto the mat. So as we start to come into the body and into our practice this morning, we'll just start to take a few little movements here, just slowly waking up Finding a little release on that lower back. Feel free to set the feet wide or narrow and just let the knees sway at your own breath's pace. Take a moment here to close your eyes and just feel what movement works for you this morning. After a few little bits of sways here, we'll go ahead and bring the knees on back up to center. Start to lift your feet up off of the ground. Take your hands to the kneecaps and let's start to find some circles here through the hips. Slowly rolling some circles here. The knees can move together or they can take separate circles. Make sure that you go in opposite directions, allowing us to find balance within the hips, within the body. Keeping our Ujjayi breath throughout our practice. A few more little circles here, and then we'll draw those knees on back up to center. From Apasana, our inverted child's pose, we'll start to rock a little bit here side to side, rolling over every little square inch of the back, making sure that we find all the spots. Take a few more little rolls here, and then we'll come on back to center. Start to lift your feet up towards the sky. Once those legs reach on up, let's go ahead and find the backs of the legs by pointing and flexing the toes. You can always soften your knees if the hamstrings are still not quite awake or open this morning. And then again, circle through those ankles. Beautiful. Shake it on out this morning. Starting to release any tension from the major muscles of the body for 5, 4, 3, shake, 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 2, and 1. Slowly bring the feet down. Hands come alongside of the body. Roll to one side or the other, coming into fetal pose. Take a moment here as you hug your knees on into your chest. Giving yourself a little love this morning, acknowledging how beautiful, wonderful, and unique you are. After another breath or two here in that fetal pose, take that top hand, gently press it into the floor, and make your way on up to seated. All right, once we make our way up, let's go ahead and find those sits bones. Hands come to the knees. Let's lift it on up nice and tall, checking in with those sits bones, lifting up through the lower ribs. As we lift up the crown of the head, see if you can draw the chin back ever so slightly. Find a little opening here through the heart. Hands reach up, inhale, eye gaze to thumbs. Exhale through the mouth, hands come back to heart. Finding that groundedness, that root this morning. Finding that stability as we sink down into the earth. Last breath, inhale up, exhale, take it on over to the right. Finding a little twist, one hand on the knee and one behind the hip. We'll take a few breaths here. Keep lifting up tall through the crown. Let the belly button draw in as you exhale. Continue looking over the right shoulder for 2 more breaths on this side. One more full breath into the body. As you exhale, slowly turn it forward. Let's take the hands back up. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Ground it back out. Inhale up. Exhale through the mouth. Third one, inhale up. Exhale through the mouth, bring it to the left. Hand on the knee, one behind the hip. Take a few breaths here. Looking over that left shoulder. Let the belly button draw in as you exhale, creating a little more space for that next inhale. A little more space, adding into that twist if it agrees with you. Final breath, looking over that left shoulder. Exhale, bring it back to center. Inhale, hands up. Ground it back out. Exhale through the mouth. One more inhale up. Exhale, ground it out. Beautiful job. So let's go ahead, start to build the heat in the body this morning. It's nice and chilly outside. So we'll go ahead and bring the hands to the knees. Excuse me. We'll go ahead and take some seated cat cows. We're going to do it with our nostril breath, and it will be like a breath of fire. So when you're ready, inhale it on up, exhale. Take whatever pace you need to with that breath and the body. Focus more on the exhale. Let the inhale come back in naturally. Five more. Inhale on up and hold the breath. Exhale it out. One more big breath in. Inhale and hold. Exhale it out. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and take the feet on out in front of us. Remember what shin that you had in the front. That way we can switch it on out. Wiggle your knees. Switch those feet on out, opposite shin to the front. Find those sits bones. You can always bolster up on a blanket if you'd like. We'll take the hands up as you inhale. Bring it down through the elbows as you exhale, coming on into cactus pose. So when you're ready, we'll inhale to center, exhale to the right. Inhale and exhale through the nose, nice full breaths. Don't go too far to the right on that exhale, just enough to start to get that heat in the body. Five more. Beautiful. Hands come to the knees. Take a few breaths here. Slowing the breath down, finding a little more depth in the inhale and a little more release on the exhale. Beautiful. Open up those eyes. Let's go ahead and bring the hands back up. Inhale, coming into cactus pose as you exhale. We'll inhale to center, exhale to the left this time. So it's a nice full breath, not like breath of fire where we're focusing on the exhale. We're focusing on both inhale and exhale evenly. Cleaning out the lungs this morning. Five more. Back to center. Inhale deeply and hold. Exhale it out. Beautiful. One more full breath in through the nose. Out through the nose. Beautiful job. Let's go ahead. Take it on onto all fours on the floor into tabletop position. Let's let the knees come underneath those hips. We'll bring the palms underneath the shoulders, finding full groundedness as we open up through the fingertips and press down through all 10 tips. Let's go ahead and find just a little bit of movement in a cat-cow. After a little bit of movement here, traditional cat-cows or any organic movement that feels good to you, go ahead and come up into our first down dog when you're ready. Tuck your toes. We'll lift those hips up and back. Take a moment to find the pose here for a little bit. Pedal out the feet underneath you. Shake the head yes and no. We're still in the month of January, working on that gallbladder meridian. And so I'll bring it in a little more subtly throughout the rest of the month. That way we're not getting the same information each class. Let's go ahead, come back to center in our down dog. Soften the knees a little bit here. Take that right foot, step it over the top of the left. And then see if you can sink back into that heel. Find a little length on the right side of the body. Really press into that right palm. Getting a nice stretch all the way up that right side body, all the way from that fourth toe up to the armpit.
2 more breaths here on this side. Come on back to center when you're ready, down dog. You can find a little pedal out here, another little Shakti shake. Come back to stillness, soften the knees once again. Let's take that left foot, step it over the top of the right, sink back into that heel, press into that left palm and find that openness on the left side of the body. 3 breaths here. You can also take this in a modified variation. This is very similar to the one we take on the knee here on the floor. So feel free to bring it down if you need to. We'll bring that left foot back to center. If you come back to tabletop, just tuck your toes and you can pop back up to down dog. Reset. Take the feet nice and wide. Walk the hands all the way back. Come on into ragdoll position, grabbing onto opposite shoulders, opposite elbows. Kind of sway here a little bit, decompressing the spine, and then gently come back to center whenever you're ready. Go ahead and take the fingertips to the 4th toe. We'll go ahead and draw that line of the gallbladder meridian all the way up the side of the leg, back of the glute, front of the hip, coming up that side body to the armpit. Let's walk it up to the top of the mat. Find a little bit of a shoulder roll back, starting to open up through the heart. Excuse me again. We'll bring the hands back down alongside of the body, letting your palms face forward. Take a few breaths here, lifting up to the toes and then coming back to the heels. So we just left a new moon, which is a perfect time to set the seeds or plant the seeds of intention. So as we're still kind of in that newish moon phase, maybe think of something that you want to plant for this next month. A seed of intention. Coming back into groundedness, push your hands down to the floor, sinking down. Beautiful. Slowly lift back up, coming to Tadasana. We'll bring the big toes a little closer together here and softly lift the hands all the way up. Inhale, eye gaze all the way up to the thumbs. Bring it down through the heart as you exhale, soft knees to forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, back down. Take that right foot on back, coming into low lunge, drop to the knee. Inhale up. Sink down into the hips as you exhale. We'll take 3 breaths here. Keep that eye gaze straight forward. Sink those shoulders down into the shoulder girdle. 1 more breath, lifting up tall with the heart. Exhale, sink back down. Inhale up through the fingertips. Exhale, this time come down with the palms. We'll tuck that back right toe. Take that left leg back, finding plank. And from here, let's go ahead and hold nice and strong through the shoulders. Tapping into the right knee. Tap into the left knee. Tap into both knees. Right, left, both. Right, left, both. 1 more. Right, left, both. From plank, push it back, down dog. Take a little shake this morning. 3, 2, and 1. Once again, take the feet wide, walk the fingertips all the way back. Trace up your meridian from the 4th toe along the side of the leg. Pop back to the glutes, front of the hip, side of the body as we walk it on up. Beautiful. Once we get to the top of the mat, roll the shoulders back, find your Tadasana once again. Palms are forward. Fingertips stretch down to the earth. Inhale it up, eye gaze to thumbs. Swan dive it down this time. Exhale all the way to those toes. Inhale, half lift. Exhale back to the earth. Step that left foot back, coming into low lunge. Drop the knee and toe. Inhale it on up. Sink down into the hips as you exhale. Blocks can come in or hands can rest on the knee. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, sink into the hips. 2 final breaths here. Keep that eye gaze straight forward. Relax through the shoulders. Hands come down when you're ready. Exhale. Take that left toe tuck. Right foot comes back to plank. Hold here as you find your plank. You can always modify on the knees. Tap the left, tap the right, Tap them both. Left, right, both. Left, right, both. One more set. Left, right, both. Pop it back. Down dog, shake it out. Come back to stillness. Find a nice extension through the arms. Flex your toes towards your shins. Sink back into the heels. One more breath here in this nice resting down dog. And then lifting that right leg up and back behind us. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale it forward. Come on into lunge. Ground out through that back foot. Cartwheel it on up into our warrior two. Sinking down into our warrior. Right toes are towards the top of the mat. And that back foot is parallel with the outer edge. Line that front right heel up to the center of that back foot. And hands come out from the shoulders, palms facing down. Look over the right palm. Take a little bit of movement here through the waist. Bring it on back to center. Flip the right palm. Left hand drops, right hand lifts. Take a few breaths here, reaching up through the right fingertips. Drawing that energy down into the body. 2 more breaths here. Left hand may come across the lower back, getting a little bit more of a shoulder opener for that left arm. Bring it back up, warrior two. Reach through the right fingertips. Bring it on down to extended side angle. Left hand comes up and over. If you're resting the arm on the top of that knee, make sure to stay strong through the shoulder. Take a few little circles here with that left arm, pulling that energy through that side meridian. One more circle. Bring it back up, inhale. Let's go ahead and straighten the legs and bring the toes out at 45 degrees. From here, hands reach all the way up over the head, inhale. Bring it on down into goddess as you exhale. Readjust that stance as you need to. Knees stay on top of the ankles. Find that soft tuck of the tailbone, lift up with the heart, squeeze back through the shoulders. Double inhale through the nose up. Double exhale through the mouth down. 5 more. Continuing to draw the energy up the spine. Last one. Beautiful. Take the hands over to the knees. We'll lean it forward here just a little bit. Press the right hand to the knee. Look to the left. Leaning that right shoulder towards center, getting a nice little stretch on that inner thigh. Take it to the other side. Lift up to center. Push the left hand to left knee. Lean that left shoulder in. Look to the right. Few more breaths here. And slowly, slowly back to center. Let's go ahead and lift it on up. Straight legs, bring hands to heart. Clap those hands together. Let's bring that focus of energy right here in between the palms, coming into revolving sunflower. Lift the hands up. Softly draw the hands apart where you still feel that tingling of energy in between the palms. Sink down into the tailbone. Let's take it to the right 3 times. Exhale down. Inhale up. 2 more circles. Beautiful. Last one. Once we get to the top, let's take it to the other side, 3 directions. Exhale down, left, inhale up right. Holding that ball of energy, the entire circle. Last one. Hands come back up. Bring that energy down into the heart. Lift up, inhale. Beautiful, hands come to hips. Let's go ahead, take the toes forward. We'll heel toe them in just a little bit, maybe about shoulders distance, maybe a few inches wider. From here, we'll take our hands to our hips, coming down in between the toes, pull up almost like a carrot or a turnip from the root. Left hand comes down, pull up, hand to hip. Go at your own pace. Make sure we keep that flat back as we move. Exhale down, inhale up. You can do a little quicker if you'd like. Maybe get that heart going this morning. We're lifting out from the root. Any past bad behaviors, anything from 2020 that we want to leave behind, not take forward. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Reach the hands up, inhale. Bring the hands back down to the hips, exhale. Make sure the toes are straight. We'll bring it down into wide-legged forward fold. Push the hips back. Hands come down under the heart. Take a moment here and breathe. Maybe finding a little movement from side to side. Getting that blood flow going this morning. Come back to center. Find your variation of wide-legged forward fold. You can keep the hands under the shoulders, maybe even on a block, or walk the hands back in between the heel line. Start to bring the weight forward to the toes, maybe bringing the crown of the head down to connect with the floor or a block. Elbows bend. Elbows right on top of the wrists, right underneath or on the inside edge of those knees. Eventually finding that little tripod between your hands and your crown. We'll find about 5 more breaths here, opening up the backs of the legs. Inhale, lift those sits bones. Exhale, bring the weight forward to the toes. Our affirmation here in our wide-legged forward fold: my age has no power over me. I'm only as old or as young as I allow my body to feel. Last breath or 2. Slowly, hands start to walk back up underneath the heart and the shoulders. Take a moment to find your footing. From here, go ahead and bring your hands to your hips. See if you can slowly bring it all the way up. Inhale, soften your knees if you need to. Good. Let's go ahead, take those left toes out to the left. Keep that right foot exactly where it is. Toes are pointed towards me, and we'll sink down into our warrior 2. Other side, hands come out from the shoulders, palms face down. Look over the left hand and find a little tuck of the tailbone, lift up of the heart. Beautiful. Little squeeze in of those inner thighs. Start to find a little movement here in your warrior 2. Reaching back through that right hand, flip that front left palm and go ahead and reverse it. Flip it and reverse it. Take that right hand gently behind that low back if you want a little more shoulder opener on the right side. 3 more breaths here, reaching up through the left fingertips. Beautiful. 1 more full breath. Come back to our warrior 2. Reach through the left fingertips. Bring that hand down right above the knee or inside of the leg. Right hand reaches up and over. Extended side angle. Draw that right shoulder back. Circle here through the arm. Start to pull the energy through that meridian line on the side body. 2 more circles. Hand comes back up and over. Bring it all the way up. Inhale, warrior 2. Cartwheel it down. Let's go ahead and bring it to frame that front left foot. Pivot on that back toe. Step it back, down dog. We've made our way 180 degrees, facing the other direction. Come on down to the knees. Knees are wide, toes touch, push it back. Let's find a peaceful warrior here for a moment. Start to slow the breath rate down as we come halfway into our practice, taking a little midway point, a little halftime. Recenter, refocus, come back to your intention. Slowly settling into that Ujjayi breath. Take another 2 to 3 breaths here in your peaceful warrior. And then we'll start to slowly come back up to tabletop. So we haven't done dolphin pose in a little while. Let's go ahead and bring that on in today. Let's bring the forearms down, elbows under the shoulders. Couple of options for the hands. I have shoulder issues, so I like to bring my hands and create one fist, interlacing all the fingers. Traditionally, you take the palms straight forward from the elbows, creating almost like little skis parallel to one another. So go ahead and set that forearm. We'll press the forearms down into the mat. Keep your eye gaze in between the forearms, tuck your toes, lift your hips up into dolphin. Paddle it out this morning. Very much like a down dog, except we're on the forearms. Elbows still hug into center. And actually bring the knees back down. So we can find the distance, the correct distance for our elbows. You just simply grab across so that the forearms are parallel. You're grabbing for opposite elbows and then just straighten out from there. That's the proper distance. Now tuck your toes, bring it on up. Feel free to stretch up the legs one at a time. If dolphins had legs, this would be your 3-legged dolphin. Let's see if we want to walk the toes up a little bit more, bringing a little more weight into the shoulders and forearms. Modify, just bring the knees down to the mat. You still have that nice structure of the shoulders, still pressing into the forearms without taking the entire weight of the body into the shoulders. So find your variation. Taking 5 more breaths here. Stay strong in the shoulder joint. Don't collapse down into them. 2 last breaths here. From your dolphin or modified dolphin, walk the feet or the knees back. Come on into that forearm plank. Take a little hip dip or stay to center for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk it back up. Beautiful. 2 breaths here. Knees come down. Take it back to child's pose, hips to heels. Hands can be over the head or back to the feet. Feel free to take the knees wide if you'd rather. Peaceful warrior, allowing for a little more room for the chest and belly to expand with the breath. Ujjayi breath, start to calm the heart rate back again. 4 more breaths here, child's pose or peaceful warrior. One more full breath. Slowly lift it up a little bit. Tabletop position, knees come in just a little. They might still be a little bit wider than traditional tabletop. Keep the left hand down, right hand reaches up. Inhale, thread the needle. As you exhale, take that right shoulder to the mat. Right ear comes down, looking over to the left side of the room. Lean into that right shoulder, find a little more space underneath the shoulder blade. Left hand in front of the eye gaze. Plant it down into the earth. Tuck that back left toe. Lift the hips if you'd like. A little deeper lean into that right shoulder. Finding a little more space underneath that right shoulder blade. Another breath or two. If that's a little too much, take that left knee back down to the earth. Slowly bring it on down. Let's take that right arm out. Inhale it on up. Wiggle the fingertips here just a little bit. Come back down into tabletop. Find a few cat-cows here as a little reset from that twist. And back to tabletop. Let's go ahead, keep that right hand down. Left hand comes up to the side. Inhale. Thread the needle as the left hand comes through. Left shoulder, left ear to the mat. Keep the right hand here in front of the eye gaze. A little tuck and lean into that left shoulder. Taking the breath underneath that shoulder blade. If you'd like on this side, tuck the right toe. Push it back. Lengthening through the leg. Lean into that left shoulder. And we're going to find about 5 to 6 breaths here. Inhale and exhale, gently leaning into that shoulder, breathing underneath the shoulder blade. One final breath. And then gently go ahead and bring that knee back down to the mat. Hands come back to the mat. Bring it back to tabletop. Find a few cat-cows. Slowly, let's bring it on down. Bring the hips to the mat. Swing those feet forward. Wiggle through the knees. So if you have your props, bring them on in this morning. I've got a couple of blocks and a strap. We're going to work a little bit further into the hips, getting specifically into this pelvic girdle outer hip area on that meridian line. So let's go ahead and start out. Draw that right knee on up. We're going to take that left leg and gently thread it underneath. Try to get that knee forward towards me, and that heel comes to the outer hip. See if you can now cross that foot over. Hold on to the knee. See if you can come back and sink down into that right hip. Beautiful. Holding on to the front of the knee, take that right hand back. Inhale, and as you exhale, plant it on the ground. Coming into half Lord of the Fishes. Sit up tall through the spine. Inhale. Exhale, belly button draws in. Look a little further over that right shoulder. Feeling that nice stretch on the outer edge of the hip. Feel free to come into the upper body bind by taking that left elbow to the outside of the knee. Inhale and exhale, 4 breaths here as we twist to the right. Nice full inhales, nice full exhales. If it's a little too much with that upper body bind, then just take the hand to the outside of the knee or kneecap. Beautiful. Final breath here to the right. Slowly bring it forward, nice and easy. Good. So we'll go ahead and take that right foot, uncross from the knee. Just loosen a little bit here within the hips, and then we'll start to take the hand to the heel, finding a little support here within that leg. See if we can start to draw it in almost as if we were cradling a baby. We can bring the heel into the elbow crease here and the knee into the elbow crease if you want to get a little bit deeper or amplify the pose. Interlace the fingers here alongside of the shin. We can start to roll around on that right glute. We can find a little movement here, finding a little bit more depth of stretch, or however you'd like to. Maybe we're right here today. All right. So from here, Let's go ahead, take the hand to the ankle, the big toes, or the heel. We'll stretch it on out. See if you can push through that heel. Straps can work here too. Beautiful. 2 more breaths along the back side of that right leg, hip to heel. All right, so let's go ahead. Start to take this right leg and bring it into 90-90. So from here, we'll straighten out that base leg. We'll go ahead and bend the knee and start to bring our ankles and our knees stacked on top of one another. So if you have your blocks, we'll bring them on in. If the hips are specifically tight today, make sure you find the sits bones first. And if you're finding this knee is lifted up quite a bit, bring a block in underneath that base knee first. Kind of tuck the corner in so you don't catch that rubbing of the leg onto that blunt corner of the block. And then see if you can bring another block here underneath the other leg. So double block it for tight hips. If you're not feeling quite as tight, maybe sinking down. Still might be a little space here in between the knee and the ankle. Let's see if we can get our toes straight forward. So 90 degrees in the ankles. Sit up tall if you need to. You can also put a little blanket underneath that right sit bone if it's lifting up a little. As we sit up tall, take a few breaths here. Just try and find that proper alignment and that groundedness. And then we'll bring hands to heart center. Relax through the shoulders. Start to take the right hand up. Inhale, exhale, combing through the koshas, the layers of the body, our being. Switching over to that left hand, inhale up and exhale, palms come back together. Continue as you seamlessly transition from the right circle to the left. Bringing in that infinite energy. Beautiful. 2 more circles on each side. One more, then bring the hands back to heart. All right, so let's take a moment, see if we can get out of these hips. Let's go ahead, gently take the feet forward, wiggle. That's a deep stretch here for the hips, so take your time. You can even do a reclined windshield wiper if you'd like. Hands come back behind the shoulders. Take your feet wide. Take it slow with those twists. Oof. All right, so after a few twists, we'll go ahead and come back to center. Stretch those legs back out in front of you. Find your sits bones. Let's draw that left knee on up. Give yourself some space so we can thread that right leg under and through. Try to get that knee to point towards me if you can, or just kind of pull it through the best you can. This right ankle, trying to get to the outer edge of the hip. Walk the left foot over. This is going to be my tight hip. So see if you can come back down, ground back down into that left sit bone. All right, so when you're ready, we're going to take that left hand, reach it on back. Behind the hip, coming into half Lord of the Fishes on this side. So it's like a twist, except that base leg is coming on in, getting a nice stretch on the outer edge of both hips, starting to prep ourselves for 90-90 on the other side. So if you'd like the upper body bind, take that right elbow outside of the knee. Sit up tall as you inhale, and as you exhale, look over the left shoulder a little further. Try and get that left sit bone back to the floor. 5 breaths here, looking over that left shoulder. Inhale, lifting up tall through the Sushumna, the spinal column. Exhale, belly button draws to spine. Look a little bit further over into that twist. Last breath or 2. Slowly, slowly, let's inhale, bring it forward. Once again, straighten out the spine. Let's go ahead and start to uncross that left foot. Good. Find a little more stability on that base leg, however you need to move it around. And then let's go ahead and frame that left shin. Hold on to the heel, hold on to the knee. Find a little bit of movement here through that left hip, rolling through that left glute. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and hold on to that shin like a baby, maybe taking that elbow into the heel into the elbow crease and the knee into the elbow crease. You can interlace your fingers here on the outside of that shin. If that's a little too much, just keep the hands on the heel and the knee. So you can find a little bit of movement here, side to side. You can also roll, take a little bit more movement here, just easing a little bit deeper into that left hip. 2 to 3 more breaths, just kind of playing. Good. We'll go ahead and come back to center. From here, let's go ahead and take that left hand anywhere on that left foot. It can be the ankle, the toes, or the heel. We'll start to stretch that left leg on up. Keep the knee bent if you need to. Beautiful. Let's go ahead, start to float our way down into 90-90. Make sure that that base leg, the shin, is parallel with the front of you. We'll take 90-degree angle in the ankles. Start to bring that left leg on top, stacking the ankles and the knees. Make sure to get that right sit bone and left sit bone down to the earth. Bring your blocks in where you need to. Come back to a nice tall, straight spine. Relax the shoulders. Take a few breaths here as you settle in, finding the bolstering where you need it so that you can move and continue to move that breath through the body without effort. Hands come back to heart. Once we bring the hands together here, go ahead and find a little roll through the forearms. Finding a little stretch in the forearms and wrists. Go ahead and interlace the fingers. Start to find a little infinity sign here as we roll around. Opposite direction. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and bring the hands up and just gently tap here on the skull. Getting that blood flow, all areas of the body, especially through those meridian lines of the gallbladder. Make sure to get right above the eyebrows and all the way down the edges of this skull, back of the skull, all the way back up to the top. Go ahead, bring the fingertips back down, tap your energy to the earth. And when you're ready, we'll come back and let's go ahead and get out of this pretzel twist. So take your blocks out of the way. Let's bring the feet forward, straighten those legs, wiggle them out a little bit. Take the hands back, feet go wide. Take it nice and slow for some reclined windshield wipers. Beautiful. Take the knees, let them fall over to the left. 90 degrees here in the ankles as we come into deer pose. Walk the hands over, framing that left knee. Inhale, and as you exhale, draw the right hip back a little bit. Anchor it down to the earth. You can walk the hands forward, or we can stay upright onto the palms. We're going to take 10 breaths here on deer pose. Remembering to find the strength in being gentle, or power in being gentle. Relax the facial muscles. Make sure that the spine stays nice and long and straight. As you exhale, draw the right hip back, sinking down into that hip. Finding that nice stretch on the inner edge of that thigh within that hip joint. This is very similar stretch on the inner thigh and that hip joint as a frog pose. And we're using gravity to our benefit as it helps us sink the torso down into those hips. Final breath here on this side. Beautiful job. When you're ready, go ahead and slowly start to walk it up if you've taken a little depth in this pose. We'll walk the hands back behind us. See if we can come into a reclined windshield wiper, just a few sways. Take it easy on that first one. We'll come back to center, start to find a stretch here in our seated wide-legged pose. Take our hands in front of us, lift up, reset those sits bones. All right, so let's walk it forward as a reset for our deer pose. Inhale, nice and tall through the heart. Exhale, start to walk it forward. Lengthen the spine on your inhale, draw back through both hips as you exhale. So we're gonna take 10 breaths here. Wide-legged forward fold. You can stay up on the palms. You can bring your blocks in. Maybe move your way all the way down to the forearms or forehead to the floor. I'm not quite there yet. Try to keep the toes up towards the ceiling. Try not to let the toes fall in towards center. Last 2 breaths. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, draw the hips back. Find that stretch on the inner thighs. One more breath here. Beautiful. Walk it back up, nice and easy. Take the backs of the knees. Find a little reclined windshield wiper here. Feet are wide. Let the knees fall over to the right this time. So coming into deer pose with knees to the right. Try and find that 90 degrees in your ankles. Walk the hands to frame that right leg and draw back through that left hip as you exhale. Staying tall, high on the palms if you'd rather. And if you want to come down a little bit lower on the exhale, you can start to recline over that right leg. Or maybe you want to walk the hands, staying upright, walk them over to the right a little bit more. Find what area of the body that affects the stretch and customize to fit what it is that you need this morning. A few more breaths. About 5 to 7 more. Inhale, nice long, straight spine. Exhale, sink back into that left hip. Draw it back behind you. Relaxed facial muscles. Feeling that nice opening on the inner thigh, on the inner edge of that hip joint. Last breath here. If you've reclined down, take your time. There's no rush. Start to make your way back up to the palms. We'll go ahead and come back up to center. Hands come back behind us. Stay a little longer if you'd like or need to. Take just a couple of reclined windshield wipers here. We'll take one more wide-legged forward fold to reset. So when you're ready, legs go wide, hands come in front of you. I like to do a little lift up of those sits bones, gives a little more space on the backs of the legs. Toes stay up towards the sky as best as you can. Inhale, nice long spine. Exhale, walk it forward, draw the hips back. Let's go ahead and find 10 to 15 breaths here in this wide-legged forward fold. Relaxing the facial muscles. If you're rounding and curling through the spine, come back up to the palms. We want to keep that back nice and flat. That way we're getting into the hip joint versus putting that strain on that mid and lower back. Starting to slowly wind it down, coming to the end of our practice. Hopefully having burned off some of the tapas in our bodies and in our lives, creating a little more clear energy and clear thought. Last breath or two here, folded forward, center of the legs. When you're ready, go ahead and start to make your way back up nice and easy. We have a few minutes here. Go ahead and find a yogi's choice pose. We'll eventually find our way onto our back. So go ahead and take a moment here. Maybe you want to find a few reclined windshield wipers. Maybe you want to bring pigeon in today. So take a few moments and bring that last pose of choice in as I get ready for our reading. So usually at the beginning of each year, I will sit and try and find some inspiration for an intention for the year. And I usually don't put a deadline on it. If it takes me a few weeks or even a month or a couple of months into the new year, especially after the doozy of 2020, give yourself some space to find a focal point this year. And so I finally came into my intention for 2021, and that is going to be self care and self exploration, just kind of coming back to what nourishes and feeds me. And I invite you to come along that journey with me this year. So we'll be focusing a lot on self care, a lot on discovering who we are without the influence of everything else going on around us. So, as you start to make your way down into this final pose, take your time. There's no rush. I'll begin to read from today's reading. We're coming from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. You can always choose to tune me out as well and just focus on your breath instead. So today's reading is called I Say Yes When I Mean No. The quotation reads, I say yes when I mean no, and the wrinkles grow. The reading begins. There have been many times that I say yes when I meant no, afraid of displeasing others and even more afraid of being viewed as selfish. I think the first time I decided to get married, I said yes when I meant no. Young and inexperienced in being myself, I agreed to be a fish out of water for as long as I could, so as not to hurt or disappoint or displease. Not surprisingly, it all ended badly. And how many times, once trained in self sacrifice, do we have the opposite conversation with ourselves? Our passion for life saying yes, 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 and our practical guardness saying, don't be foolish, be realistic, don't leave yourself unprotected. But long enough on the journey, and we come to realize an even deeper aspect of all of this, that those who truly love us will never knowingly ask us to be other than we are. The unwavering truth is that when we agree to any demand, request, or condition that is contrary to our soul's nature, the cost is that precious life force is drained off our core. Despite the seeming rewards of compliance, our souls grow weary by engaging in activities that are inherently against their nature. When we leave the crowded streets and watch any piece of nature doing what it does, tree, moose, snake, or lightning, it becomes clear that the very energy of this life is the spirit released by things being what they are. And those of us committed to love must accept that care is the inner river flooding its banks. Yet if the soul's river can't be fed by its source, there will be no care. So take a moment here as we come to the end of our practice. And as you sit quietly in your Shavasana, take a moment and meditate on the last time you said yes when you meant no. Breathe steadily and surface, if you can, why you didn't say no. Breathe deeply and identify the cost of not saying what you meant. Inhale slowly and invite your spirit to speak directly the next time you're asked to be other than you are. Take a few breaths here, just fully marinating in you, fully absorbing what it means to be you, all the aspects and facets of you, fully embracing all of them. Inhale and exhale. Taking a few more breaths as we close out our practice this morning. Taking as much time as you need here in your own sacred space. From the light in me to the beautiful light in you. Here's to a blessed Saturday ahead. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Thank you so much, my beautiful yogi friends. I'm so grateful to start the morning with you. 7:30 came a little bit early today, but I'm so glad that I was here with you. So we have another class here at 9 in case you didn't get enough yoga this morning, and we have another 2 o'clock this afternoon with Mr. Ben Mosier. He's one of our recent graduates. And if any of you are interested, we are going to be continuing with our yoga school this year. And it is going to be a virtual format. So I'm really excited that this might open up some opportunity for those of you that may or may not have been thinking about a training like this, even if it's just for your own personal practice. So I'll be getting a little bit more information on this coming out. We'll be starting in April. So it's never too early to kind of plant those little seeds of intention. And who knows, maybe you can be instructing some of these classes. We still have some of our instructors within the community still taking and being students as well. And so I'm so very grateful for each one of us and the role that we fill in this community. Feeling full of love this morning. Happy Saturday. I'll catch you guys this weekend. Have a wonderful day.